TheGrio is an African-American focused media platform owned by Byron Allen and centered on amplifying Black culture. Until recently, that platform focused on video-centric news, lifestyle, and entertainment content. But this spring, it expanded with the launch of the TheGrio Black Podcast Network, which includes original and aggregated content. I'm Michael Depp, editor of TVNewsCheck, and this is Talking TV, the podcast that brings you smart conversations about the business of broadcasting. This week, a conversation with Geraldine Moriba, SVP of News and Entertainment at TheGrio. We'll talk about TheGrio's ambitions and how it's evolving. We'll be right back. Talking TV is brought to you by Futuri, whose Post4TV podcasting system is specifically designed for the needs of TV broadcasters. Post4TV makes going from newscast to podcast an effortless transition. It enables broadcasters to create, publish, analyze, and monetize both broadcast on demand and original podcast series from the same platform. Post ingests and automatically edits newscast audio for optimum fidelity. Commercials are replaced with programmatic ad markers. Preset brand images, titles, and descriptions are paired with individual episodes. Post then publishes blocks or full newscasts to audio platforms immediately, or at times preset by the user to multiple on-demand platforms. Stations using Post can also opt in to Futuri's ad network, which expands revenue opportunities by offering a variety of turnkey monetization options. You can learn more about Post4TV at futurimedia.com/post4TV. Welcome, Geraldine Moriba, to Talking TV.
Hello, Michael.
So Geraldine, TheGrio has actually been around since back in 2009, when it was launched originally by NBC News. Then it got folded into MSNBC News until finally Byron Allen bought it in 2016. From a content perspective, how has TheGrio evolved in that time?
So TheGrio has always had the same mission, which is to amplify Black culture. Basically everything connected to African Americans, whether we are focusing on entertainment stories, news and information stories, sports, but that mission has never changed. What has changed and what we're doing now is trying to reach African Americans, Black people globally, wherever they are, every way that they consume information. So we want to reach them on their mobile devices. We've got a new app. We want to reach them with audio if all they do is listen to podcasts. We want to reach them through our website, which is still our #1 platform that gets the most traffic. However people consume information, we want to be there and reach them. And I will point out that one of the reasons we're doing this is more and more increasingly, the way we consume information changes based on our age demographics and our habits. And so we don't want to just get one portion of Black people, we want to get everybody.
I'm assuming TheGrio's name comes from griot, which is a West African storyteller, sort of a repository of history.
Yes.
What then is TheGrio's value proposition to consumers right now? How do you distinguish it from other African-American geared news and entertainment brands?
So I think that a lot of other Black media brands, which are great, and it's great to be up against them, they focus more on entertainment content and sports content and talk and celebrities. And we, of course, have entertainment, and we of course have celebrities on all of our platforms all the time, but we do something that nobody else does. We present everyday relevant, important news stories. We present lifestyle stories in a really in-depth way. We present opinions, and what is different about what we're doing is we're not, for instance, we're not trying to be a Black TMZ and entertain and titillate. Like, there's enough people doing that. We're trying to add analysis. We're trying to add thoughtful engagement with people as they're doing things, as they're happening. And we really want to focus on the events that are having a pronounced impact on Black audiences globally. I mean, we believe our responsibility is to empower, to provide value, and just to reflect the lived experiences and interests of Black people through our digital and streaming platforms.
On the video side, what's the context in which the news content is iterating right now? Is it news shows per se, magazine shows? What's the form?
So right now it's video shorts, and we do have video series, but we focus on short video installations.
Mm-hmm. TheGrio TV launched, I believe, in January 2021, but the platform seems to have always been, or to this point, video oriented. Is that what you consider to be the primary platform for TheGrio at this point, or is it the case that there isn't a primary platform? It is what it needs to be for different audiences, as you were saying earlier?
I actually think right now, and it's always been the primary platform for TheGrio. Our largest audience right now is the website. Mm-hmm. And that's where most people get Grio content. But I'm predicting you're going to see in a year or two, the primary platform is going to become our streaming platforms, OTT and the mobile app, because that's just where people are getting free information, free TV. So you mentioned TheGrio TV, which is available, and that's an OTA platform. That is primarily a movie channel. There's lots of TV shows and movies on that channel. In fact, it has a library of over 1,500 movies that we show throughout the year. The streaming app allows you to pick and choose what you want to see. And again, it's totally free. So we're predicting that when you combine all of that free, great content with all the news and information that we have from the website, now with the additional Black Podcast Network, it is going to become the #1 point of entry for TheGrio.
So on the subject of that podcast network, which launched in May, to clarify with that, is this production, distribution, or both?
It's both. It's both. So what we're doing is we're doing it in phases. Right now we're in the launch phase, and we've launched 2 podcasts so far. We actually have 8 original podcasts scheduled all the way through October, and it's more or less every couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, there'll be another podcast. And the idea is by launching them this way, we'll continue to build our audience. And once we get all of our original content out, and as we're doing that, we're already engaging in conversations with Black podcast creators and asking them to allow us to share their content too. And that way it'll become a destination that's not limited to the podcasts we create, but we'll also distribute everybody else's content. Because if you think about it, when you're looking for Black content and you go to any of the other distribution platforms, whether it's Apple or Spotify or whichever, to find content that is about or by Black people, it's actually rather challenging. If you search the word Black, tons of stuff come up. If it's not that easy. I know I depend personally on word of mouth to find new content. And there's a lot of great content out there globally. So what we want to do is become a repository where there are hundreds, if not thousands of podcasts, but they're all specifically by and for Black people.
Okay, we sort of anticipated exactly what I wanted to ask you next about, why a whole network then, as opposed to just producing, say, a podcast or a series of podcasts. You want to become the location to which people go to find this kind of curated content then.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the content we're starting with, by the way, is really fabulous. Like, it's really exciting content. And the strategy is, if we create this and we demonstrate how well produced and the quality of the work that we're delivering is impressive, then more people will want to be with us, because there's an adjacency factor. If this is really great, then this must be great too. And that's the strategy.
Okay. So are any of these podcasts that are out now or that are in the pipeline, are they going to do double duty as video podcasts for you? Do they have that kind of utility?
Yeah, most of them will also have video. In fact, one coming down the road by Torre is going to have animation. So they'll all have video. One has animation. There's one coming out quite soon in a couple of weeks or a week, 2 weeks, by Christina Greer, who's a political scientist. And she's actually doing a game show. Her podcast is going to be around Black trivia and Black history, and it's in a game show format. So we're having fun with the podcast. We're trying to be non-traditional and just push that envelope with creativity a little bit.
All right, I'm just making notes to animate, talking, TV, add game show element, make more fun.
Exactly.
I did try a game show once with Jerry O'Connell. We played Pictionary, and it didn't go well for him.
Oh, no.
What can I
Oh,
say?
congrats to you.
Thank you. Where is TheGrio available now on streaming?
So right now it's available. If you have a mobile device, you can download our app in the App Store on any kind of mobile device. So you can get it that way. But OTT is available on every platform that distributes OTT streaming content. So Roku, Apple, like everywhere it's available.
Byron Allen is very passionate on the subject of Black-owned media, specifically the need for it when there's such a dearth in broadcasting, particularly in television. How does TheGrio align with or reflect his ambitions?
I mean, the reality is we shouldn't have to create a separate destination to find all of this content. It should be available wherever you consume information. But the truth is, having been in this business for a long time, reporting on Black people is often an afterthought or happens when there is a tragedy or something extreme. We want to make sure that we are sharing stories. Oh, did you hear that? I don't know what that was. We're sharing stories when there is a tragedy, and we want to be there first as that story's breaking and add context, cultural context, information context. But we also want to share the good moments too, and the inspirational moments. We want to empower and just be really relevant as we inform Black audiences. And I do want to point out is we're also making sure that we're telling stories about Black people wherever they are, not just within the borders of the United States, but more and more, we're telling global Black stories too.
Now, you said so far these are the news content here is iterating primarily in this short form content, but you keep coming back to news.
For video.
So is a newscast an explicitly kind of organized news program, a half hour, an hour in the trajectory for TheGrio?
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. We are already piloting multiple shows, and perhaps as soon as Q4 this year, perhaps Q1 next year, you'll start to see those shows appear both on TheGrio TV and on our streaming platforms. But right now, the immediate launch is the Black Podcast Network, and the shows are coming.
Mm-hmm. Are there any synergies that you have with any of Byron Allen's other media properties, specifically stuff from Entertainment Studios or his local TV stations? Are you doing any content sharing, or is that in your roadmap?
Yeah, it actually happens every single day. When we do stories that have to do with the climate or outdoors, we have a series coming up called The Great Outdoors, and it's about Black people doing outdoor sports. And right now it's summer, so there are outdoor summer activities. That series will be picked up by the Weather Channel. We had a story that went up for Juneteenth, and it was specifically about a young woman, 19 years old, who was walking on her own across the entire Canadian portion of the Underground Railroad, the trail. And she was doing it on her own and depending on the kindness of strangers to let her spend the night at each spot she did. We did that story, and then it also ran on the Weather Channel. Local Now is another app that's in Byron's Allen Media Group family, and Local Now content often appears on our platform, and they often use ours. There's another app called HBCU Go. That one, we often amplify their content, and they do that with ours as well. In fact, tomorrow they're launching a series called Spades, I think. It's Spades versus Spades. It's about the game Spades, card game, and it's great. It's Spades involves 4 players, and each episode will be 4 players playing the game competitively, but also talking about serious topics and not so serious topics. It's pretty funny.
So a lot going on, obviously, at TheGrio. What else is in the growth trajectory? More original content? What else have you got in the works?
Well, I think the one thing that you might not know is that we're also in the event space as of this year. So right after the White House Correspondents' Dinner, this was our first event that happened in April, we had a reception. And the reception was called A Seat at the Table. And we held it because we wanted to honor all of the Black reporters who have worked with the White House, but who are there on a daily basis reporting on politics in DC. And we had a reception, and by not just my opinion, but many people who attended, it was one of the best receptions of the night, and was so popular, in fact, that we're going to have it again next year. But we're also right now developing an award show that will be coming out in early November. We're recording it and releasing it, and we're going to be celebrating Black people who are at the top of their game and doing things that are proving that we can be successful, we can be leaders of business, and so that award show is coming out in the fall. And we have another series. It's going to be an interview series called Masters of the Game. And again, this is in the spirit of doing content that people can use. So the idea, it'll be a monthly series, and it'll be a one-on-one conversation with someone who at that moment is at the pinnacle of their own creative entrepreneurship, scientific, whatever their specialty is, they're at the top of their game.
Very interesting. Well, you got a lot to keep track of there, and it'd be interesting to watch as this all coalesces, as the podcast network takes off, and to see how it's connecting with audiences. So we're out of time, alas. So I want to thank you, Geraldine Moriba of TheGrio, for joining me today. Thanks so much.
Michael Depp, alas, it's too short. I really enjoyed our conversation. I hope we get to do this again.
Me too. Cheers. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. See you next time. If you like our Talking TV conversations with industry leaders, the executives, producers, talent, GMs, news directors, innovators, and many others who are driving this industry forward, smash that like button, as the influencers say. Well, maybe don't smash it, but clicking it would be nice. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you liked about our conversations, what you'd like to ask, and who you'd like to see. Remember, TVNewsCheck is your source for continuously updated news and information about the broadcast industry and the broader ecosystem around it. So subscribe to our newsletters and keep us open on your browser, because news changes fast. And we've got lots of events coming up, both virtually and in person. So check out our calendar of events for more information. A new episode of Talking TV is available most Fridays on TVNewsCheck.com. You can also listen and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify.